Firstly, I would like to thank the organisers for making this hearing possible, to thank the other contributors, and a very big thank you to those that have helped with the vital funding to make my trip possible. My name is Max Bliss. I am no scientist. In fact, I'm a general builder who has worked outside all my life. After moving to the southwest of France in 2009 to a region famed for high sunshine hours and big blue skies, I became increasingly aware of the incredible increase in contrails and associated cloud cover. I began to notice this daily, and this greatly troubled me. I started to photograph and film the sky now for 4 years. Barely a day goes by without seeing various contrails, some thick, spreading, but most alarming is watching spurts within contrails, some watching the sky blotted out. Subsequently, I wanted to learn more and became an avid researcher and a passionate environmentalist. I have attended and participated in various high-level climate change and climate engineering conferences. With respect to this hearing on the proposed finding of greenhouse gases from aircraft cause or contribute to air pollution that may reasonably be anticipated to endanger public health and welfare, the major component, 95% of greenhouse gas, is water vapour, together with other constituents from exhaust or ejected particulate matter from aircraft form contrails, contrail cirrus, haziness, and cloud blankets, which certainly do affect changes to the weather, altering rainfall, altering temperatures, inducing droughts, reducing frosts, etc., and ultimately affecting climate change. When the planes were grounded following 9/11 and later in the UK in 2010, there were obviously no contrails. The sky cleared of clouds and natural clear blue sky returned, confirming aviation is affecting cloud cover. According to various investigations, such as the 1998 Subsonic Contrail and Clouds Effects Special Study, they have noted that apart from water and CO2, there are metal particles including zinc, aluminium and titanium, also soot, sulfates, etc., found in the exhaust plumes, contributing as nuclei for ice crystals to form contrails. A 2010 study for the Wright-Patterson Air Force Research Laboratory entitled Nano-Sized Aluminium Altered Immune Function opens the abstract with this sentence: on the basis of their uses in jet fuels, munitions, and the most likely scenario for aluminium nanoparticle exposure is inhalation. The UK Civil Aviation Authority responded to the concerns of fume incidents. The 2004 investigation into cabin air quality found that the peak particulate matter found in the air ducts was aluminium. Although the study does hypothesise that this may be from the heated engine lubricating oils contaminating the air supply via the air bleed valve, it is worthy to note that 50% of the cabin air comes from the atmosphere, and as planes often fly through contrails or the aerosols left by other planes, I feel investigation into the presence of nanoparticles in the troposphere from planes, although very difficult, must be initiated as soon as possible. Many hundreds of pilots and frequent flyers report debilitating illnesses linked to cabin air. Please refer to aerotoxic syndrome. There are many new studies emerging on the links with aluminium and Alzheimer's dementia and various other serious ailments in humans, animals, whales, fish, and even bees. Plants, trees, and all life is affected by aluminium toxicity. Recently, the media has announced that 1 in 3 seniors will die with Alzheimer's. It just becomes clearer with research that nanoparticles may already be in jet fuels and are certainly planned for implementation in the near future, and also, for that matter, in biodiesel. Aluminium oxide not only has potential negative health impacts, it is also known to contribute to making clouds, as it is used in tracer rockets for NASA. Aluminium oxide has been suggested by geoengineers for solar radiation management, but is known to damage the ozone. Aluminium is a cation and is mentioned in weather modification patents, although there are hundreds of weather modification patents using various methods and ingredients. In a 1956 US patent 2756097 for weather control, the author states, "We have discovered that quantities of very dry superheated water vapour will disturb the thermal and electrical balances of cloud formation, causing dissipation or precipitation. We accomplished this process of our invention by injecting water or water solutions of ionic salts into heated exhaust gases of a power plant, such as internal combustion engine, jet engine, and the like. Through investigation into the huge disturbing increases in contrails, associated cloud covers, and changes to the weather, one will be left wondering if this indeed is intentional or deliberate, as the extra contrails and cloud generation is excessive in correlation with the increase in growing aviation use. I have taken pictures of nozzles in line with the engines on pylons. These are described as oil drain masks, but some patents of similar nozzles state other material can be evacuated from them. Even if oil was leaked out into the hot exhaust plume, smoke would be generated, and smoke is used for cloud seeding for weather modification. A 1970 paper by Wallace B. McRae on the possibility of weather modification by aircraft contrails, he describes how the ice crystals formed in contrails effectively can seed cloud decks below as ice crystals survive falling to lower cloud deck altitudes, increasing cloud cover as effectively as dry ice cloud seeding. McRae writes, possible consequences of this are considerable. In fact, it seems probable that one of the projects for modifying the global climate discussed by Fletcher in 1965, namely modification of cloud cover over the North Polar Basin by cloud seeding, is already underway. Up until the mid-1970s, documents suggest the establishment desire was to intentionally melt the Arctic sea ice, to free up shipping lanes, access rich resources, and open up vast regions of ice-locked land. And adversely, climate changes could likely be blamed on the anthropogenic global warming to instigate the beginning of global governance through United Nations Agenda 21 Sustainable Development Programme to create the New World Order. Interestingly, when one begins to research the history of weather and climate modification, it is surprising how far up the power structure the desire for developing a large-scale weather and climate modification program was, from Presidents Eisenhower, JFK, Johnson, onwards, with a high priority put on these possibilities. The Johnson administration was using weather modification for geopolitical leverage with India and Pakistan in 1967. Would we be naive to think that the interest just went away because of the NMOD treaty? Look up Owning the Weather 2025. In conclusion, pollutants from aircraft that need prohibition, such as sulfates or the use of any nanoparticles which can travel via the air from a source of combustion into life organisms, is causing serious negative health impacts to many forms of life. This needs to be tightly regulated and ultimately stopped. The notion that the climate science is settled is often repeated over and over by interested stakeholders, such as those looking for lucrative funding in the burgeoning climate change arena, be it academics, politicians, or entrepreneurs looking for success or to get rich, or more darkly, hoping to implement a one-world government system. Climate has always had natural variability and weather extremes. However, these days, some weather extremes can be stimulated with technology. Is it appropriate to reassess the anthropogenic global warming theory and replace it with climate change is man-made by using covert weather and climate modification technology known as geoengineering for geopolitical ends? We do not need to be scientists to observe the sky and see the obvious negative effects aviation is having and research the spiralling health impacts. Just start looking up and wake up. We do not consent to the use of weather and climate modification or the despotic New World Order. God bless and peace for all.